A lot of things have happened. You know, Windows 10, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, let's get down to what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about a time I went out with some friends and shooting. We went out and shot 45 caliber. We shot 9mm, 40 caliber. We shot 5.7. We shot 308. We shot 7.62, which is the 308. And then we shot some AR, 223s, and also the 5.57. Anyway, we had a bunch of fun shooting different type of weapons, and also in the field, at the range there, we had some fun learning about certain things, like the 1911. What this video is going to be talking about is you need to learn about your weapon, not just how to tear it apart and clean it, but learn, why does it do that? What makes it work? I mean, really, I don't understand this. Why does it do that? Why do I gotta do that? For example, when you take apart that M4 behind me, and you break it open and you take the bolt out of it, what makes that bolt work right? Yeah, that gas, when the round fires, it sends the bullet down, and some of that gas is bled off at a certain point, and it hits and it goes down and hits the bolt and sends the bolt to the rear and causes the action to go back and forth and loads a new round, blah blah blah, and fires, right? Okay, yeah, but there's a timing issue. Where do you put that hole? Where do you put the hole for that M4, for that gas tube? It has to be a certain length. You can't make it longer. You can't make it shorter, because if you do, a certain thing happens to the weapon. It doesn't fire. It won't fire and cycle correctly. It's called timing. So you have to understand about that. And same thing with a 45. If you don't get it down right, let me see. If you don't get this action going back and forth right, it won't eject correctly, or it won't get the round out, and you'll have things like stovepiping, or it could double feed. You could have a spent round in there and a live round trying to feed in over it, and you get jam ups. There's certain things that happen, and you should be saying, why does it do that? And learn about that. The reason being is because when you're firing your weapon and something happens, you can go, I know why that is. Like a friend of mine, he's shooting his 45, and at the end, it wouldn't stay open. The last round go bang, because it ejects and the slide goes forward and there's nothing in it, nothing in the chamber, but yet he still has a magazine in it. What happened to the magazine hold open system? It failed on him. But, he looks at it and goes, oh, well, what's wrong with it? He should be able to say, I know my magazine is supposed to throw this little lever up there. What's going on with that? And he can look in there and say, well, it's not touching it. The dead burn spring or whatever, the little lever in my magazine or whatever is messing up. And I know what's wrong with it. And then when you go to get it repaired, you're not at the mercy of somebody that's going to gouge you for something you shouldn't be gouged for. That's a good thing. You learned something there. Another thing is when you're firing and you're through or stuff like that, and you go ahead and clear your weapon and pull out the round, and you look at that round, and it has these weird marks on them. And you're going, what makes these weird marks on them? Well, it could be a bunch of stuff in there. It could be, the feed ramp might be off a little bit. It could be that when the round is stripped from the magazine overcover is a little bit too tight on it, and it's causing marring of the round. There's all kinds of things, but you need to know, that's causing that problem. And now I can either take it into someone, I know what my problem is, I can say, here's the round, it's firing, it's serration there, and I see that it's most likely it's my magazine, it's, the overcover of it, causing more pressure on this side here and scarring my rounds, and it might cause me problems down the road. And in other words, you can talk intelligently, and they can't rip you off when it goes to repair. Or maybe you can take care of it yourself. Maybe you can go online and find out about this. Somebody else had this problem. They found out same thing that you found out, and they said, "Oh, how do you repair it?" And they show you how they fixed it. Sights. Sight's another thing you need to learn about. What's the best way of sighting things in? A lot of people talk about different things, different type of sights, boxing sights, 3-dot, 2-dot, whatever, sights. But things is why are you using these, and how do you adjust these? Things of that nature are not commonly given out. So learn about them. Learn about your weapon. Learn about the different ways that the M4 breaks down, and why it breaks down. And why did Stoner design this thing to break down this way? Why didn't he make it where it would half turn and come apart like a cam lock system? Could have done it very easy. It's not a hard thing to do that. Why didn't he do that? Because that's, he designed it that way. But when he designed it that way, there's some inherent problems, like, Dad burn, I can't get this rear breakdown thing to pin to pop out like it should. Is there a way to make it work better? It could be that maybe the manufacturer of that has the wrong kind of spring in it. Maybe it has the pin in it. The breakdown pin in it is not smooth. It's kind of gnarled up, and so it's hanging up in the groove and won't come loose. Flash suppressors, a simple little thing. How does this flash suppressor work? Why do I have this type? What's the difference between this one and one of those, they call them a shark thing or whatever, What's the difference of those? And how do they work? Porting a barrel. Why would I want to port a barrel? What does porting a barrel do? If I get it ported, how do I take care of it? Is there special things I need to understand? Can you port any barrel? Okay? There's things you can learn about your weapon that you really, really, really need to learn. And then you need to learn, after you learn things about your weapon, you need to take those things you learn and look at it and says, what can I do to do the work? Instead of paying someone $300 or $400 to do something, when all I have to do is, well, that's a simple fix. All I got to do is do this, and boom. Okay, like the bolt hole. I meant the slide retention. Keeping the slide back with your magazine in there and doesn't do that. It automatically falls every time after the last round, and with the magazine in there, so it doesn't stay back. What? How can I resolve that? It's real simple, okay? So you learn what's causing that, and then you go, well, how can I fix that? And you can go in there and look at your magazine and says, oh, this is worn down. I can readjust it. I can use a pair of needle nose pliers and a little rod and just kind of bend that tang just so much. And next thing you know, when you do that, it stays open. Then you go, hey, I saved myself a lot of money by doing that. I didn't have to buy a new magazine, and I did it myself. A lot of things you could do if you learn about your weapon, how it works, and then learn about how you, as the owner, can modify it or fix it. By the way, federal regulations say you can do anything to your weapon you want. You can paint it, you can cut it, you can do all kinds of things to this weapon you want to. You own it. Okay? You don't have to take it to a gunsmith. There's no law says you have to take it to a gunsmith. There's no law says it has to be certified and tested as functional and everything else, because it's yours. You're responsible for its operation. You're responsible for everything about this weapon. Who carries it, shoots it, how does it shoot, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is your responsibility. So that means you can do anything to this weapon you want to. Example, like this one. Now this one here is a Combat 1911 made by Rock Island Arm. I kept the lower receiver of a standard Combat, and right, it was a big, huge gun. Big gun. You know what I mean? It was the kind that I carried around with me in Vietnam and when I was running around in El Salvador and Honduras. It's the same kind. It's the 45 that I've always carried. And here it is. I did something to this. I took that big ass slide off of it and that big long barrel off of this thing and put this little short slide on it and put that 3-inch barrel on it. And now I got a 3-inch barrel and the slide for it on a standard size frame. I call it a snub nose. And what happens, it's the same. Now this here is a Smith & Wesson Pro Series, and it's called a it's Combat. It's a correction. It's a CS. It's small, compact series. Okay, so it's got the small frame, 3-inch barrel still, but it's small. And so my hand, when my hand fits over it, see, it doesn't fit the lower part of my hand, and I'm kind of, I like a gun that when my hand goes on the frame, see, it sticks down below. It gives me a full frame. My hands are pretty big, and so that's what I did to that 1911. You got to learn about it. Wow, that's why that does that. Oh, what makes that barrel go up and down this way and stay where it belongs? There's a lug in there. Is that critical? Well, I'll read about it and go, oh, wow, that's why that lug does that. Wait a minute. So, threw away the 5-inch barrel, put a 3-inch barrel in, and the lug is a little bit different. I'm going, how do I fix that? Oh, it says, yeah, you got to size it. There's a way to make it fit right. Made it fit right. Once you make it fit right, okay, now what? Oh, the slide and the barrel has to fit properly. There's little lugs on it, and then there's this hood. What's a hood? I mean, I got my hat on. Is it a hoodie? No. So I had to learn about the hood and how to do that and everything. So once I learned all that stuff, and I did it, then all of a sudden now I got this little thing, and it's sweet. I fired this thing. I shot the crap out of it. It's beautiful. And by the way, now when I fire it, I don't fire a bunch of rounds in it. I go out to the range. I shoot maybe one magazine at the most out of it. The reason being is because when I shoot center dead on a target and it hits the black and it's just blowing the black out, I don't need to shoot no more. I know how to hit the center of my target, so it's good to go. I'm good to go. I'm going home. Clean my weapon, put it away. That's the same thing you do with anything you own. If you own a car, just take good care of it. Okay, it says I've been talking for 13 minutes and 15 seconds. I hope you enjoyed this video a little bit. This is an encouraging video. Please, if you buy a weapon, learn about it. Learn everything you can about it. Tear it apart and think and wonder about it. Why does this do this? And then read up on it. There's books, magazines, websites, YouTubes, all kinds of things out there that talk about, wow, that's why that does that. Oh, that's cool. I can do that. Oh, and that, whatever. It's like this site. What site should I get on my weapon? Well, here's one. I bought this one. Paid like, I don't know, $12, $14 for them because I bought a bunch of them. These are the Ultimate Arms. Anyway, they won't stay zero. And some of them would. Some came good and didn't have to do anything. But there was a few that needed to be torn all the way apart and then reassembled. When I mean tear apart, I mean I took my time understanding what was doing what, where things were going, why they were going a certain way through this, why wires were going this way, not this way, and everything else. And once I learned all that stuff, then I had it all apart. Then I thought, what would make it better? What would make it right? What would make it work correctly? Okay, I mean, the thing is sound structurally. Nice metal, nice glass, nice imaging device, really spot on. What was problem was its quality management of its putting together was crap. So I tore it all apart, figured everything out, where everything should go and why it's going a certain way, and I just improved upon it. I use sealants in certain things, gum type glues in other areas for sealing wires against metal, because you don't want to get too much. But anyway, and I fixed it up and everything else, and then I put one on my 5.7. I put one on an AR. I put, and then I got this one and another one I gave to another person. Blah blah blah. But now they shoot. I zero them. They stay zeroed, and for something shooting at about 150, 200 yards, I can shoot the crap out of the center. So that's it. That's all you got to do. It's just take your time and don't spend a lot of money. Please don't go out and buy yourself one of these expensive $1,200 M4s. When you can build something like that, just take your time. Take your time. Buy the parts. Understand what parts you're buying and why you're buying them and what you're going to do with it. And next thing you know, you walk away with about a $700 rifle that you can put up against any Colt M4 that's out there. And I will. I'll put that up against anything that Colt makes, anything that SIGs make, anything that any of them make. I'll put that up against it, and I'll shoot circles around them, because that's what it is. The barrel, everything about that is good, tight, right on the money. Same thing with this. It's tight. The slide is tight. I mean, nice. Why? Because it took the time to learn about it. You can do the same thing. You can enjoy your weapon, have a lot of fun with them, and remember, always keep your powder dry.